We are live. What's going on? Back again with the I'm trying to think of a catchy name here, but
Triple
I can't.
threat.
The triple
The
threat,
triple threat.
right?
That's
MJ
right.
Rodman. For some reason I got to be the crazy Rodman dude, but that's fine.
You're
Whatever.
the wrestler. You're the wrestler.
That's true.
You're the enforcer of the group.
We are back. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. Glad to be back with you guys. And yeah, all three communities. We're gonna get into some things. How you doing, Rue and Rob?
Good man. Happy to be here. Happy to see all the regulars in the chat there. What's up, Elon Muff? What's up, Rockhound for life? Hey, and I'm with my boys here. Triple threat out here. Let's go. Ooh.
Hell yeah. I'm sick as a dog, but I am here with you guys, man. I wouldn't miss this. My deathbed, confessions, whatever. I'm all right, man. Surf Army says, "What's up, Rue and Max? Finally catch a live with y'all. I'm hanging out at work, tuning in. Appreciate all, grateful. Thank you so much, man. Surf Army for the win, brother, for the win. Elon Muff, scam. What's going on, buddy? Good to see Elon in the house, man. Good to see Elon
Mike
in the
C,
Shout
good to
out.
see you.
Shout out to my son. He turned 16 today. So for 2 days, him and his sister are like the same age, same mother.
house.
So shout out to my son.
Well, happy birthday to your son, man. That's awesome.
All right, so Rue said he
16.
wanted to go last, so we're gonna have a look at our YouTube channel, guys. We gotta put that out there. We gotta show you guys crypto 24/7 crypto TV. Check it out. Matt, I think you have it, right?
Yes, let me pull that up for you guys. So, obviously, we'll be fixing some things and whatnot. I mean, the banner's fine, but maybe we, make the 24/7. We'll tweak it out. So you're gonna see pre-recorded videos. You're going to see live shows there, and basically it's all three of us, right? So it's Maximus Crypto, it's Root Black, it's Crypto Future, and our goal is to literally, like how it sounds, it's a 24/7 crypto station, and basically we're going to try to provide you value as much as we can to that platform. Please share this with crypto enthusiasts out there and so on. And yeah, we're really looking for you guys' support. So, obviously, if you're here on Patreon, you already support us to begin with. Why wouldn't you want to take the leap and join us over on 24/7 Crypto TV? You're going to see a lot more of our own personalities. We might do some jokes. We might do just anything, but we're going to keep it fun and educational. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And like you see there from Ramona, crypto markets never sleep, neither do we. 24/7 Crypto TV. And that rhymed. So there you
go. Bars.
Bars. Ramona Bars.
Good to see you, Dave. Good to see you. So yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited about the channel. 24/7, man. 24/7 updates on everything that's happened throughout the week. It's going to be super fantastic.
Indeed. So yes, go check that out. And I think on top of that, I'll just drop a link for you guys. I did see that on StreamYard. There's an update where you can drop actual links, unlike how it was before. If somebody from the community drops a link, you can't really pull it up. But anyway, I'm gonna put it into the comments. There you go. Go take a look into it. And now for our next segment, the one and only Rue Black has some things to get into. So take it away, Rue.
Yeah, Rue, I know you wanted to go last, but I mean, we'll let you go first because,
You know what? You guys are so you're so gracious, so gracious. I expect nothing less from the cry.
You're my boy,
offense out here.
Rue, do you believe I do not want to see you die here today?
Classic. I might have to watch that tonight. But yeah, guys. So shout out to Blue Collar Crypto. He's a guy that's done some of the early work on like ZBCN and what's going on with it. I've referenced his stuff. So has Max when we've done collaborations on this. So very interesting. Definitely go over and check out my channel, guys. I've been so deep into World Liberty Financial and Zebec. like the more connections and connections and connections, it's just really like crazy at this point. Uh, and this is a continuation of more connections for that. So let's read this here. I think this has to do with World Liberty Financial planning to launch World Swap. More on that later. For the Forex market, moving and swapping between different fiat currencies. We know that ZBCN is global, right? And we do know that all Unity stablecoin with Deutsche Bank, NatPay Now with FedNow, USD1 with the UAE and Pakistan, like, and they're also getting into Malaysian countries and possibly even China. If you look at this ADI that I broke down yesterday in the live stream yesterday, right? So ZBCN is global. Therefore, they certainly need to access a variety of fiat currencies and transition to one currency to another. One of the strongest things that Zebec solves that Web2 is lousy at is remittances. But on top of that, payroll remittances, or people that work and send a chunk of change back to their home country. Having access to the Forex market is essential for global access. Think of it, I think I hit the nail on the head with this one. Zebec partnering with WLFI and integrating World Swap. Boom. Okay. So he references something he put an hour ago, which is, I think we know what more with World Liberty Financial coming soon might entail. Very bullish for ZBCN. And then we have this post from ZBCN. USD1 is now live on Zebec cards. You can now load, spend, and use USD1 on your Zebec Silver and Carbon cards on Solana. So they've integrated that. But let's get some information on this World Swap here. And this is from Reuters, in which Reuters says February 12th, okay, shout out again to my son, Trump linked World Liberty Financial to launch Forex remittance platform, okay? So again, this could have Zebec behind it, as Blue Collar Crypto is kind of hinting at. But let's read a little bit of this excerpt here. World Liberty Financial, a crypto venture backed by the family of the U.S. President Donald Trump and the Witkoff family as well, said on Thursday it plans to roll out a new foreign exchange and remittance platform offering simplified services with lower fees. The firm will launch the platform World Swap soon. Zach Folkman, co-founder of World Liberty, told the audience of the Web3 event Consensus in Hong Kong. Okay, so there's over 7 trillion of money moving around the world from currency to currency, and all of this has been taxed very heavily by the incumbent players, he said. The crypto firm said it wants to connect users directly to debit cards and bank accounts around the world and settle foreign exchange remittances at what he says will be a fraction of the fees charged by competitors. Of course, we know this was always the goal as far as like the XRP ledger and things connected to it, right? So let's continue. World Liberty Financial Markets, World Liberty leading platform, which launched 4 weeks ago as part of a push for greater usage of its USD1 stablecoin, has recorded 320 million in lending and more than 200 million borrowed, Folkman said. And for a little bit of information on that, let's go to this CoinDesk article. Trump family linked World Liberty Financial rolls out its lending platform for USD1 stablecoin. And we've talked about it many times on here, guys. Both me, Rob, I think Max too, where lending is just going to be like very, 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 very important. So when you look at things like Swift blockchain, which already has a lending platform, now Trump is rolling out his own. Okay, so this was rolled out on January 12th. So they're moving pretty much at light speed here. Pretty interesting to see. They have here ETH Coinbase, BTC, USDC, USDT, and World Liberty Financial as collateral options. And definitely check out my past shows where, and our past shows where me, Rob, and Max connected USAT to Zebec. And, you know, I did a follow up to that, connecting USAT even more to Zebec. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But let's go back to the Reuters article here. World Liberty fueled a sharp increase in income for the Trump family business known as Trump Organization, including from foreign entities. In the first half of the year, Reuters reported in October, the growth of the Trump family crypto initiatives as Trump oversees U.S. crypto policy constitutes a conflict of interest. Government ethics experts have said the White House has denied any such conflicts exist. Well, you know, he's creating his own blockchain bank as we speak, right? So, thoughts that, and one thing I wanted to leave you guys with was something from Canton, but also I wanted to know, guys, do you guys have any opinion on this and what Trump is doing here with the world swap? And do you believe that Zebec and his technology might be connected?
So just a real quick thought on it. So this, are we talking swap is in, from my understanding, a decentralized swap, basically moving money, transferring? Is that the general idea here?
It seems like to me they're talking about like the forex market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like currency to currency kind of thing. And
exactly.
okay, yeah, no, I find it absolutely fascinating. I've often said that I do think, honestly, that World Liberty Financial is a coin I'll probably hold in this cycle that we're just entering. I do think I mean, hell, they're developing, right? They're moving at a pretty quick pace too. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Max?
I do see where they can be in the future. For me personally, I do not hold World Liberty Financial right now because of the tokenomics. I am always firm on my belief of minimum of 70% out in circulation, et cetera, et cetera. That's just my own personal preference. I do prefer like 80% or more. But are they going to be a big player moving forward? Absolutely, right? So interesting to see that some of this. I do have, of course, some Zebec that I will elaborate on here in a bit. But back to Rue, because I know you want to
Yeah.
get back into this.
Yep. And the big thing here to me is like seeing Zebec being involved here as far as payroll goes, as far as remittances go. It's going to bring a lot of liquidity into ZBCN because this is global. Now, I have a excerpt from Jeremy Allaire where he says something. It's not counter to what we're saying, where he basically says, well, in countries like Turkey, they don't want to use the Turkish currency. They want to use dollars. But I'm sure there's going to be a time in which they can still, they're still going to need to switch into, their currency locally and send it to someone or pay for something that, won't accept digital dollars for whatever reason. So let's listen to that right quick, and then we can get into Canton.
An internet platform across a whole range of technologies, but the core franchise is we run the largest regulated stablecoin network in the world for handling stablecoins and storing and moving them all around the internet.
Well, why do I need a stablecoin? I've been using banks for years. What's wrong with my banks? If I want to send money to Istanbul, I just tell the bank, wire the money. What's wrong with that system?
Well, if you talk to anyone who's trying to move money to Istanbul, it actually turns out it's very time consuming, very slow. There's a lot of barriers. There tends to be excessive fees. Sometimes it gets lost. And in fact, Turkey is a great example because in Turkey, there's extraordinary demand for USDC and stablecoins right now because in a place like Turkey, people want dollars. They don't want lira. They want digital dollars that they can just use from their mobile phones, that they can, just like you can make a peer-to-peer phone call with someone. It doesn't cost you anything. People and businesses have figured out in Turkey, just as one example, that they can transact with each other directly without an intermediary instantly with virtually no cost. And so it's actually becoming a substitute for banking. And in fact, the nice thing about stablecoins, especially well-regulated, well-run stablecoins, is they're very safe because they don't actually lend the money or take risk with the money. They just are holding it in these ultra-safe instruments. So holders of these are saying, wow, this is a super safe digital dollar that I can use just like I can use WhatsApp or use like the internet as a whole.
Well,
So interesting, like he gives us like a lot of the things that we had heard earlier from World Liberty Financial, that we can do this at a fraction of the cost, right? And it gets to be messy if they're not doing it via like a super app and they're doing like the little peer-to-peer with the phone. And he just says that they actually would prefer to use USDC, right? And stable coins like that. In comes things like USD1, because they're heavy, and it seems like this UAE area, that was one of the things we went over a couple days ago, and that just continues to be the truth here. So now just a really short post from someone talking about Canton. So he says, capital flows where liquidity is deepest. When repo market participants test real money against real treasuries and it works, it's not a pilot. That's the moment when the infrastructure shifts.
I think we're going to have a moment. And I think for stablecoins and like the consumer market, part of that moment was like the Stripe acquisition. And after that, you can see all of these companies doing all these things that they were probably thinking about, but that was the impetus for them actually executing them. They either had enough excitement or fear, right? Like that was a moment and that mattered. I do think that the talk pilot on Canton, where that real money moving against treasuries in the institutional market, I think that was a moment. I think that was when you started to see a number of people say, oh gosh, it's not Canton specific, but like we should be doing something around this because this matters.
Can you describe quickly what that was for those who didn't see this?
Imagine institutional players basically accepting treasuries for payment for stablecoin issuance, where the players that are doing that are involved in the repo market. The repo market dwarfs the payments market or the B2B fintech market by orders of magnitude. So in the event that the participants in the repo market that are institutional have very specific desires that are extremely sophisticated in nature, agreed on this is the platform to test this new opportunity. And by the way, it was successful. That is such a moment. That moment is like Waller at a very stable conference saying like, this is why stablecoins are important. If you were standing in that room, it was like you were on a different planet. It was almost impossible to imagine that this could happen. It's the same thing when I feel like the Canton talk pilot kind of got off the ground. And I think there's another thing that can happen, which is when one very large company ignites agentic workflows in a way that actually works, that people are using, maybe even without their knowledge, whatever chain that's running on is going to be made, at least for a while, because the flood of people and developers that are thinking about how do I monetize the human eyeballs, or how do I monetize the downline human interest to pay other machines, because there is now an incentive and a technical infrastructure for rewarding that. Like, it's going to be very exciting. I hope we're present when that moment happens.
Like he said so much in that very, very short clip. One of the things that really hit me is that the repo market is orders of magnitude bigger than the payment market, which is really interesting. And that makes sense because repo being repurchase, like market, the repurchase market, like the market to me kind of seems like kind of circulatory in that you got these bonds, which is a promise to pay yield on the American dollar, which is just, drying up and losing value, right? So that honestly makes me think about, and I did a show on this like a few months back, where things like Flare, where they offer yield on XRP and they offer these derivatives, it's almost creating like a bonding market for things like XRP. So eventually it would be interesting to see if they move to, and I think Canton has already kind of tested this with gold. It'll be interesting if they move to, instead of all of these paper treasuries being repurchased, they're now doing tokenization of, these yield bearing products that act like bonds, like Flair's FXRP, Metallicus's XXRP, something that's offering tokenized yield on, say, gold or silver, like through Ondo, right? USDY. So it'd be pretty interesting to see if this is something that happens in the near future. Any comments on that, guys?
Yeah, I do. I have something I want to compliment what Rue just shared with you guys. I'll make this real brief, okay? So you heard specifically what these gentlemen just mentioned, right? Especially with the whole Canton connection. You saw the whole thing of what Rue shared in regard to Jeremy Allaire, Circle. Again, a lot of talk about U.S. Treasuries. I mean, if you've been in Canton, you know their role when it comes to U.S. Treasuries, right? Something I want to point out is, what about the Swift side of things? We're going to share this real quick. Rob has this on our screen, and it's a Swift connector to U.S. Treasuries. Please soak this in just in case you skipped it or have never had anybody break this down. You see here, even on a basic Google search, the Swift connectivity to U.S. Treasuries and financial institutions allows secure standardized messaging, again, ISO 222 for payment, securities, and treasury operations, connecting to over 4,400 U.S. banks, not like just all the ones abroad, but actually homegrown U.S. banks. You also see here the part where it says the adoption of ISO 222. Again, the Swift connector platform facilitates compliance with the latest standards, crucial for modern treasury management and ERP integration. There's tokenization trials. Again, you guys heard these gentlemen talk about the whole thing of these pilots. Let's take you over to this. I've shared this in my original deep dives. I want to pound it home again. The MTN, we know about the MTN's role with MasterCard because it literally is their homegrown product. But you see here the RSN, which is the Regulated Settlement Network. And we know about Canton and the whole thing of the US RLN. Again, Quant, the UK RLN. But it's the participants. And in the orchestration for the RSN FMI, you see the orchestration with the Canton node. And more importantly, you see the orchestration of the Swift Transaction Manager Simulator. Let's blow this up. Swift Connector, MasterCard, MTN. These are taken from snippets of actual real documents, okay, for the US RLN. You see here even direct RSN, which means for settlement. You see an alternative setup where the MTN platform directly integrates with a Canton native API using ISO-based message structures and was explored. Now, recently, I did some deep dives that shared some of my own key documents as well as smokes about Ripple upgrading to MasterCard, okay? But when you get more into this, you even see here in figure 13, MTN with Swift integration. And again, MTN connection is who? MasterCard. I know it's a little bit blurred, but nonetheless, MasterCard MTN for the API orchestration. Now watch this. I'll shrink this down just a tad bit. On this diagram, you see here, partitions were hosted within a single Google Cloud platform. The GCP is a project which housed the Regulated Settlement Network FMI components and the Canton domain. There's a system architecture here. Maybe it bores you, but it's important to understand the integration because right here, from bottom to the top, right, similar to how the overledger is, Canton has their own thing, which is called the global synchronizer. You see the orchestration between Bank A, Bank B, the participant nodes from Canton, and if you look into Quant Network, they're basically doing what? Also some of these participant nodes. But again, understand the difference between the UK RLN and the US RLN, right? Since we're focused on the US, I wanted to share some of this and how it works. And again, you see that in the visual. Just three more slides I should share with you. Have you ever seen the orchestration of the global synchronizer? This is Canton's global synchronizer in action. Interesting, again, to see the Bank A, Bank B, but again, Fed Cash. And more importantly, Fed Securities, the FMI, the sequencer, and so on. All this orchestration. And at the bottom, again, referring to Canton's actual documentation and their technical flow. How about this from Digital Asset? Digital Asset, the DA, was chosen as a software provider for who? The RSN POC, developing a system on their network solution, Canton Network by name, using DAML, smart contract software language utilized to enable the RSN settlement venue. Do not allow people to flood you out of Canton saying that there is no connection to actual settlement. That is hogwash. Bottom part says you have a functional system that was built to enable the RSN while doing what? Leveraging the strengths of distributed ledger technology systems. So if you're confused with this and you say to yourself, oh, I'm going to get out of XRP, I'm going to go with Canton. They are not, it's not a competitor. It's a thing that complements it, but more importantly, an emphasis on the United States RSN, and again, the key connections to what? U.S. Treasuries. Last part, speaking of the RLM, let's kick it over to the quant side of things, because in this document, you see the UK Finance Regulated Liability Network, UK Discovery Phase. Again, that orchestration. Remember how we just mentioned cash? You have, for example, regional RTGS systems. So again, it's kind of like your Ripples, if you will. Other banks, retail central bank ledgers. We know about basically what Ripple, Hedera, and Quant are doing literally with the digital euro as we speak. Integration gateway, think about how that's worded. And again, the e-money issuers, back to what Bruce shared in regard to regulated stablecoins, so USDCs and so on right here. But the bottom part, here's your key takeaway. Analysis was carried out on whether decentralized or centralized infrastructures are more articulately viable. So even that part where Rob chimed in about, well, what about like, the decentralized things, right? Does this not add up? So the analysis revealed that decentralized technology has significant advantages that RLN can benefit from, particularly in the tokenization theory, integrity, transparency, privacy. The discovery phase technology work also focus on comparative analysis, technical platforms that could best fit RLN architecture. After initial research, the analysis validated by an information gathering exercise with key technology partners. They included R3 Corda, Adhara, Millicent, Boom, Quant, even Polygon's part of that mix, and boom, Canton Digital Asset. That's important. And last but not least, it should be highlighted, there was also detailed analysis on Quorum. And if you guys seen some of my latest deep dives, what do we know from Quorum? Well, basically, XDC is a fork of Quorum. And more importantly, you see also Hyperledger Besu. Again, why am I pointing this out? Well, just in case you're not aware of it, let's put the icing on the cake real quick and then kick it back to you guys. Gold and silver are crashing. 3.2 trillion raised in the last 60 minutes, reported 8 hours ago. Why? Because the de-dollarization narrative might be over. Russia's considering a full pivot back to the US dollar to secure a massive economic partnership with who? Trump. So again, a lot of the info you just saw from regard to World Liberty Financial, the whole thing about stable coins, et cetera, and I share this, and big shout out to you, Mike, right? Mike shared the whole thing in a DM. He thinks I never read his DMs. Silver dump was done by JP Morgan. So again, think about the XTC connection. They got proof. Comics reported that JP Morgan closed the silver short around $78. Silver went from 121 to 74. They settled around 78. This is the first point where, in my opinion, we had the official announcement of crypto winter, where the whole market had that huge flash crash, right? That was monumental. But that was the exact level. That timing isn't random. Connect the dots. December 2nd, 2025, U.S. banks had 17,838 silver futures were shorted. That's basically 89.19 million that you see right there. And at $121, that's 10.8 billion in short notional. Explains a lot, but the same play you see in crypto. They push the price to leverage it. They dump it into liquidity or thin liquidity. Stops get clipped, longs get liquidated, and it happens all the time. The panic, not good at all. Dollars dumping, gold is dumping, stocks are dumping, crypto is dumping, bonds are pumping, and more importantly, it's the manipulation. And as you see here, I'll blow this up. This blows up even that much more. We see here specifically what? JP Morgan. You see basically what was issued. Again, February 3rd, 2026 on the delivery date, but JP Morgan closed his silver short, boom, right there. and look at that 78.53. And in light of everything that's going on, put 2 and 2 together, draw your own conclusions about some of this. But it's really interesting how it all comes full circle. And I just wanted to share some of that. So let's come back in the frame on this, get some of you guys, obviously, your thoughts on it. But Rue, you're spot on with this. Go ahead.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, what a
Thank
coinky
you,
dink.
brother. Thank you, brother. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say really quick, going back to something you said in that, Max, was, not just listening to what people say in terms of Canton and stuff like that. Very similar, guys. Just, I think it was this morning or last night, somebody put a comment in the comment section of one of my Jasmine videos, and he said, they don't even have anything out. No, their products aren't out. There's nothing going on with the project. I'm like, bro, before you make comments, research, right? And that's why you can't just read comments and just believe what somebody says about a project, like Max was kind of alluding to with Canton. Like, their mainnet just launched, their meme pad just launched, their
Oh my gosh,
swap just launched, right? Like,
100% spot on. I just want to add this. People do not realize Canton. Like, when I first started covering quant, like we're talking 2022, I was fully aware of Canton. What's the difference? Why did I mention it then? They had no public offering in regard to a public coin or token or anything like that. Canton, you guys, has been in the making apparently for 15 years. Okay? So they finally went public with this and so on. And of course, now you're seeing a lot of people covering it, and rightfully so. And every single time when we look more into Canton, it's like, geez, the market could be extremely down. They'll be up, or they'll just hold where they're at and so on. Give a follow to an excellent researcher. He kind of ruffles some people's feathers. Cypress Demanicore. Cypress had, I think it was the CEO of Canton on a live X space. They got really into the weeds about why Canton can hold its value while the whole market is obviously, dumping and so on. And it's so interesting, again, these key connections to what? The U.S. Treasuries. I would encourage people, don't take what's on the surface, like really deep into Canton. Obviously, we're doing that for you guys.
By the way, that spaces that Max is talking about, Rob and I did a show on Canton and Zebec, and we took a little excerpt from that space where basically the CEO of Canton says, look, zero knowledge proofs aren't going to cut it. This is why organizations are choosing Canton.
She would say 100%.
Yeah, I recently said in our private community, guys, Canton. That's all I'm going to say, right? CC. Let's go.
Right? Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, Max, did you have more stuff that you, I think, Rue, you wrapped everything up that you had to cover?
Yep. And I'm going to get out of here. I'm starving, guys. So sorry.
No. You're contractually obligated to stay here until Max does his 3-hour deep dive.
I'm not doing a 3-hour deep dive right now.
We're doing a deep dive into how delicious pastas and stuff like that. We're gonna show some amazing, videos of delicious foods while you sit there and watch.
Oh, really? This guy Max has cooked some good pasta.
I do need to do a cooking channel. I need to
stop
eating that stuff. Bro. I do.
All right, Rue, we'll let you go, buddy. Enjoy your dinner.
Peace, guys.
Peace, Rue. Nice alpha, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. You're one of the best. All right. So I'll make this kind of, I don't know, interesting. So earlier today, Rob, I dropped a video that is kind of controversial, right? But I made sure, I need to, cut out some things and mute some key areas. Otherwise, I can, get in trouble. And anyway, I took care of all that, right? As the saying goes, cross my T's, dotted my I's, and all that. I want to share this. I'm just going to give you guys a little taste because I'm not going to play the whole thing. All right. So I'm going to share this on the screen. We're going to talk about some XRP and some XLM, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully you guys are part of the XRP army. You heard of Arthur Brito, Okay, so in today's video that I released this morning, the name of the video is called XRP 322 and the Mystery of Arthur Brito. No, not 589, 322. I'm just going to play just a couple minutes of this to give you guys a taste of it. I would encourage you to watch this, right? I even watched it again all the way through. I was even on the edge of my seat listening to some of this stuff that was being presented. So if anything, I think this will be a treat to you, Rob, and obviously our community and so on. So we're going to go ahead and play this. And
oh, hang on. You're not sharing your screen yet.
I know. I got to bring that up.
I just want to say, because I saw Hugo say this. He's finna go pick up some Canton. What I would say is, guys, listen. I personally believe, based on the chart, that Canton is going to have a little bit of a correction over the next week or two. So I think that for me, I'm going to wait to scoop some up till we see that correction, and that's when I would go for it. I wouldn't feel good if you guys watched us talk so good about Canton and then you go buy it and then it drops, 30% in the next week or something like that, right? So I give you that little heads up that I do think that there's a minor correction coming for the project, and that would be not financial advice, but that would be my personal opportunity to scoop some up at a local low. So
yeah, same here. I mean, honestly, I came into Canton around the 7 cent mark, still up on it. But if we had some crazy flash crash, and everything that you saw in those X spaces where it kind of holds this value, if it didn't, yeah, that would be excellent, right? So
he says, "I'm finna wait till it dips." Yeah,
there you go.
Monica Long will let you know when, buddy. Monica Long.
Yeah. Always recognize Hugo, right? Big Monica Long fan. Who is it, right? Anyway, but yeah, let me go ahead and full screen this. Let's go ahead and play this. We're just going to play roughly a couple, I don't know, maybe 3-4 minutes. It just depends, right? We'll see where it goes. All right, so XRP 322 and the Mystery of Arthur Brito. I don't know. I think, if anything, it's off to a good start. Market is down 3,500 views. Not bad. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Here we go.
The Order is truly a secret society. It was founded in the United States at Yale University in 1833. It has continued and exists down to the present day. Each year, the Order takes in 15 men, senior students from Yale University. Never more than 15, only once has it been less than 15. In 1946, they took in, I think, 10 rather than 15 members. So what we have is a secret society which, over the last 150 years, has accumulated about 2,500 members, of whom perhaps 500 are alive today. Of this 500, perhaps 100 are actively in pursuit of the objectives of the Order.
15 recruits every year since 1833. And if this is real, it would explain why the world feels like it's accelerating. Like decisions are being made faster than people can react. Like we're being pulled towards something, and nobody voted for it. And maybe what we're seeing right now isn't the beginning of the story. Maybe it's the part where the system finally starts showing itself. Watch this.
It's not another college fraternal society. Yale University is the only university in the United States, or indeed the world, which has senior societies. These are societies where the 15 are selected in the junior year and actually are initiated at the beginning of the senior year. They stay on campus only 1 year as members. They are called knights. When they graduate, they leave the university, they go out into the world, then they're known as patriarchs. So at any one time, you only have 15 knights in existence, and for the rest of their lives, they're known as patriarchs. And they work during their lifetime, or a number do, towards the ends of the Order. They are pretty much guaranteed success. Certainly they're guaranteed financial success. And in my reading of the material I have, I infer that so long as they go along with the purposes of the Order, so long as they gear their careers and their lives towards certain ends, then they are guaranteed success.
All right, let's come back into this. So you want to watch the entire thing, All right. You don't want to miss a single thing of this. But again, why did I go deep into this? So, number one, towards the end of that intro, you'll hear about the world's largest private, right? Not public, but private bank, BBH. And again, the connections to Yale University, Skull and Bones, et cetera, et cetera. What is profound in my findings, in my research, is, again, this whole mystery of Arthur Brito, because the common ground when they specifically mention the like Skull and Bones, Yale, the ties to the financial systems, private banks, et cetera, and I'll give you guys some answers, not all of them, because I want you guys to tune into that. The company mentioned at the end of the intro is called BBH. Now, it's an abbreviation for a particular banking system and so on. Again, world's largest private bank. I found it so incredible that they invested in who? PolySign. And who is PolySign? You have, leading up the charge, the founders, David Schwartz of Ripple and Arthur Brito of Ripple. Arthur Brito is the guy behind the veil that nobody knows what he looks like. Some people say he's one of the Satoshis. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but the findings are profound. I get really, really deep into it. Try to share some, again, connecting the dots. You guys point out that some of you guys call me like a blockchain investigator or whatever you guys call me. But anyway, it's an interesting video. It is worth your time. And some people like it. Right, so check it out. It is this morning's interview or video, I should say, and I just wanted to get into that. And the other thing I'm going to jump into is a little bit more of these updates from Ripple and, of course, even Stellar, mentioned by name with key documents and so on. So I won't try to make it too long, but stick around for that. I have proof, in my opinion, that Ripple is quantum resistant. And some people in the community are recently retweeting old tweets from David Schwartz back in 2022. And again, earlier we have Rue. We talked about zero knowledge proofs, obviously things like, your Canton connections and so on. So we'll come all full circle with this. But I don't know, Rob. I know it sounds spooky, the whole thing of Skull and Bones and whatnot, but it gets so deep. Why would the world's largest private bank, tied to obviously Yale and Skull and Bones, want to invest in PolySign, who's led up by Arthur Brito and David Schwartz from Ripple?
That stuff always fascinates me, man. Honestly, it really, really does. I love going if we could just watch like if there was a documentary covering everything that we're like, if we were to make one, I would sit there and just watch it for hours. It's fascinating to me because it's real.
It is real. And I discovered something recent, which was, I heard that PolySign is no more. Actually, that's not true. They still exist. There's only a few employees, like 15 to 75, which is not too bad, but nothing compared to the thousands are part of Ripple. But yeah, they still own patents that date all the way to non-expired patents to 2040. Again, I should provide you all documents, as you guys would say, all receipts in that. I would encourage you to look into that. Thank you for that, Rise Above, and some of the other guys who just joined. I want to now take you over to a little bit more of the XRP XLM side of things. So we're going to pull this up. We see here, specifically speaking, shout out to our brother in space, Smoke. Was able to do a collab with him this week because he was traveling. But Smoke points out XRP, the handshake with XLM, foundational pieces of the new financial architecture. My video today puts a lot of emphasis on what? New financial architecture. This is a piece of the puzzle, and he points to it. Now, something I want to point out is, even from Jasmine, we see so many patents from guys like Tadashi Morita about the IEEE, okay? And again, it's common ground here. So what I want to highlight for you guys, let me shrink that down just a tad. We see a lot of mention about blockchain and DLT. And I don't want to necessarily bore you with this, but what's interesting is, again, all this architecture. Again, remember how I mentioned Jasmine? Purpose of the architecture. Framework defines the basis of the blockchain IoT architecture. Again, Internet of Things. So we can throw an IOTA in that. Uses IEEE 42010 as a reference model to map the key stakeholders or concerns. Again, a cohesive solution. And more importantly, On the top right side, references who? References DLT blockchain system of interest, proof of X. I think that's funny, the terminology, proof of X. So we know about Bitcoin, proof of work, and all this. But we see here Ripple consensus highlighted and Stellar consensus highlighted by the IEEE. Now, you may wonder, this is not that big of a deal, you may say. It's a huge deal. And the reason why I want to point out why it's such a huge deal is because, again, even on a simple Google search, is the IEEE a very important internet protocol? Google's like, yeah, it really is. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers creates some of the most important, not like, oh, it might be used, but no, most important, fundamental, widely used standards in modern networking. So again, they have this family of 802. Some of you guys are familiar with this. It's not just one protocol. It's the governing body of foundational technologies like the Ethernet, right? 802.3 and Wi-Fi 802.11. I mean, come on, you guys probably are washing from your Wi-Fi connection right now. And ensures the global compatibility for billions of devices. It's fundamental, ladies and gentlemen. So before we continue, Rob, just want to get some of your thoughts on some of this. At every single turn of the table, we are now seeing more mentions of Stellar, Ripple by name, being part of a finternet. What's a finternet? A financial internet. We are going from the era of the 90s, early 2000s, and so on, the internet information, and if anything, flipping the switch to Web3 with what? Real protocols to enable, as Ripple point out, the internet of value. Going from internet of information to an internet of value. We cannot put a price on the internet. Nobody has, but now we're finally getting examples.
Well, I mean, and they've told us that all along, that we were going to see that transition, right? And now it's finally happening. So for everybody out there, the whole time we dealt with all the FUD, no one has dealt with more FUD than XRP and Ripple, right? Hands down. It's finally starting to come to fruition, in my opinion, right? And someone actually said this to me today. They asked me about like XRP and XLM. I said, you don't got to pick, man. You don't got to pick, right? And for me, you should be holding both of them.
I would agree. And I do want to address something that people point out in the communities. I'm going to pull this up as well. Shout out to Coin Bureau. They had some breaking news that happened earlier today. Let's talk about it. So they said, breaking, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse among crypto leaders appointed to CFTC Innovation Committee. Now, here's why I want to point this out. I want to point this out because for the longest time, it seemed as though Stellar kind of had the edge over Ripple when it comes to their CFTC plug. And some people said, well, of course, because Ripple had the whole thing, the SEC case, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's been done with. Then to see this is profound, as reported February 12th. This is big as well. Next part I want to get into, lots of Ripple updates. And if anything, maybe we'll chop some of this up and have it on both channels. Why not? Shout out to this guy, Pumpius. He pointed out, sweet Jesus, Mary, Mother Mary of Bethlehem. Hopefully he's not doing blasphemy. I'm not into blasphemy. That's not cool. But anyway, understand the quote. David Joel Cat Schwartz. Now, I saw this earlier and I bookmarked it. And if you're wondering where this quote came from, it came from 2022. Look into it yourself. David Schwartz pointed out in 2022, one last thing. Unlike some blockchains, once quantum-resistant algorithms are deployed, XRPL users will not need a new receiving address to take advantage of them. Existing accounts can be secured. All right, that's interesting because, again,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think I might have the full tweet on this. So I'm going to try to pull that up. And he references like things like cold storage, Rob. And this is where it's like, wow, all right, well, where do we really, really go with some of this? So I want to see if I could pull up that bookmark real quick. Yep, I have it. We're going to share this. Thank God I bookmarked some stuff. David Schwartz goes on. See how the tweet originally came from July 26, 2022. Schwartz says, quote, cold wallets that hold only XRP and have never performed a transaction are already quantum resistant. Also, if you disable the master key and set a new regular key, your account is quantum resistant until you perform another transaction, and then you can change it again. And one last thing, back to what we just talked about with those existing accounts. So again, why mention this? Well, why wouldn't we? This tells me that XRP is quantum resistant, and 8 hours ago, shout out to Rue, he's not here anymore. This is going to pound home some of the alpha he dropped for us. DNA Protocol, I know it sounds spooky, right? They pointed out that they deliver proof-based identity via off-ledger ZK proofs, anchored mutability, on the XRPL, replacing key-based security with cryptographic proof. Did this not age well? When did it come out? It came out today. And as we see here, proof generation, off-ledger ZK identity proofs, identity structuring, the whole orchestration, and again, pounding home what? Pounding home what you just saw right here. Let's jump back to it, to David Schwartz's quote. So I want to get some of your thoughts on this, my friend, because the way I look at it is apparently there is something there with this. And again, you just got to go back to the horse's mouth. David Schwartz, for crying out loud, in 2022 dropped us that nugget, and now that aged really well today.
Like I said earlier, they've been telling us all this stuff, Ripple has, for years. And people just, it's important to pay attention to what these people are saying, right? And it comes down to knowing what's happening with the projects that you're invested in, right? But yeah, this isn't new information. I mean, it is for some people, but people like you and I, we're not surprised at all.
No, we're not. And if anything, that's why if you saw the chopped up version of this in the thumbnail, we basically put in David Schwartz. XRP is 100% quantum resistant, my friend. We're not pulling it off from just a particular article, right from David Schwartz. Last thing I saw, that guy knows a thing or two, right? Absolutely.
And here's the thing. I get asked about that as a potential concern all the time. All the time. Are you concerned about it? Are you concerned about it? And like, not really. I mean, I'm especially not worried about it with Ripple and XRP now.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. I even saw some other interviews. Obviously, Gilbert Verdian took some pictures of an actual replica of a quantum computer. So they're fully aware of it. And there's been other quotes from Schwartz where he said, in reality, we're probably anywhere from 5 to 20 years away from it, but he's leaning more towards the 20-year. So he's like, it's inevitable, right, that you have to solve some of these things. But again, he feels as though that scope is so far out. But again, to hear that from him, profound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, G-Dog.
G-Dog. Hugo, a little bit of taken for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's Hugo.
He has a particular set of skills. He will find you and he will kill you.
That's funny. There's just a few more things I just want to get into. I know that we're approaching the 1 hour mark, and we'll wrap this up. I want to point out something from basically the Zebec side of things. I was really proud of the research that myself and Rue brought to you guys in our mastermind mind map series of connections. I guess we'll tell on ourselves real quick. We may actually do a live show continuing this, whether it's myself and Rue, or maybe with Rob, or vice versa, or all together. But we did a 6-part series on Zebec and these connections. Rue has done an excellent job, even with his own visuals of a mind maps. And basically, I took a clip that I want to highlight for you guys, and I shared it on X because, again, I'm trying to obviously grow the X platform. It's so challenging, right? You have to have like 55,000 impressions per day to get monetized on X for 9 days straight. It just seems like a task that's so like, wow, that's crazy, right? But whatever the case be, I did drop this morning. I'm going to share this on the screen as well. Shout out to Rue. He pointed out Yatsu. Now, who is he? Well, he's the CEO of Animoca Brands. Shout out to Underdog of the Underdog Research Channel. Did an excellent job of covering MetaPath, the sister company of SwiftCoin, and of course Yatsu Connections. We covered, I think, in part 5 or 6, Yatsu of Animoca Brands. So he spoke from the World Economic Forum. Yes, the World Economic Forum. You'll eat sea bugs. And this was back in January 2026 about how you basically need it there in the second. Think about that terminology, because think about how Zebec is always talking about payroll by the second. So he says in the second, because why do we have payroll systems that pay us on a monthly basis? We think that's normal because we've got credit systems around. But in those places, you need to have your payroll on a daily basis. So back ZBCN solves this. And yes, I had to put my watermark on it because, sorry to say, when it comes to a lot of people in the Zebec community, they'll just take some research and then make it look like it's just their own. And I understand it's cool to share. I'm always about sharing, but I also don't appreciate copying and pasting. Again, I used to be a school teacher, and we do not like what? Plagiarism. So let's go ahead and play this 21 seconds. And if you feel as though that there's nothing here, let us know. I think you want to chime in, Rob. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you always got to give credit to the researcher. Always give a shout out. It doesn't hurt, right?
Absolutely. Let's play this 21 seconds. And by all means, if you have an X account, I would appreciate if you share this. Maybe even tag some people like Simon Balikani or Sam Thalapalia. I think they would appreciate it if they saw this. Listen to this. If it doesn't scream what Zebec is doing, I don't know what would. Here we go.
You need it there in the second, because why do we have payroll systems that pay us on a monthly basis? We think that's normal because we've got credit systems around, but in those places, you need to have your payroll on a daily basis.
So I'm freezing the frame right there. So back pay is redefined payroll for the 21st century. For the first time, employees can be paid instantly by the second without having to wait days or weeks to be paid. Let's come back in the frame, my friend, because guess what? You have said numerous times on these shows that we do, whether it's on the public or the private side of Patreon, about how, guess what? In the future, even some of your family members, right? They're going to be like, Dad, what the heck? You used to have to wait a month or a couple weeks to get paid. I'm getting paid by the second, or I'm getting paid every day, all day, every day. You said it, my friend. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. A lot of people look back and say, Rob and Max, they said that. Yeah, my grandchildren are sitting here laughing at me because they used to get paid bi-weekly. They get paid bi-hourly, right? That's awesome.
It is awesome. It's so good to get into the deep nitty gritty of all this, at least in my humble opinion, and obviously share it with you guys about why we do what we do. The last thing I want to share on the screen, excuse me, is I want to pull this back up. And again, just kind of help us out, myself, Rue, obviously Rob. It's all about the communities. Trying to get this out there. Try to let people know about this. I even mentioned here this, and then right below it, I said, I said ZBCN, as in Zebec, is a blue chip in the making. I truly believe that, you guys. And there's so many connections like XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, QNT, Ondo, many others. We know about Ripple with on-demand liquidity. But as far as I'm concerned, ZBCN is, quote, on-demand payroll. So check out our series of the MyMap series connections, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all there. Some people have already been sharing it. And if anything, we would appreciate you guys sharing it, because we want to get more people from the XRP army to pay attention to these things. This is still a low market cap gem. It doesn't get all the bells and whistles of your Zebec. Some of your closing thoughts in regard to that, Rob?
Well, my personal opinion is Zebec, anything below a penny is just a steal. Just a steal, right? I mean, there was a time XRP was below a penny. What did it reach? $3.30. And the thing is, guys, listen, you can hold both. There's nothing wrong with holding both. No one has to. They're not, you don't have to be like one or the other, right? Doesn't have to be that way, man. If they're both going to make you a ton of money, they're both worth holding. Not financial advice, but just perspective. Don't get into the high school girls' locker room section of crypto, right? You're here to make money, so think with this.
Right. Think with this and not that. So
Yeah.
with that said, I mean, you mentioned high school girls' locker room. I mean, back in the day, people used to do that, right? Anyway, that's the story for another day. That's pretty much all I have, I think, from you guys. I think we should do one more share, if you don't mind. Let's pull this up on the screen. We talked about it at the very, very beginning of your outline. A call to action, again, just in case you're a latecomer. We do see here on the Patreon, we have a few people. But yeah, we see here, what? 24/7 Crypto TV. Go join it and help us, because we're going to do a lot of recorded there, lives, you name it. So again, check it out, 24/7 Crypto TV, or at 24/7 Crypto TV -P7C. Apparently you're laughing about something. So what is it, my friend?
Oh, I can't say on here. Just something you said. Something you said. But yes, guys, it's going to be just. I mean, it's right in the title, right? It's 24/7 Crypto TV. All the greatest from all three of us, me, Rue, and Max, over on that channel. So make sure you go shoot it a sub, and if you want to catch up on anything you feel like you might missed on any of our channels and stuff, it's your go-to source for all of our stuff. So definitely check it out, guys.
Yes, check it out. And last but not least, I was going to state real quick is, if you're wondering if we're going to have exclusive content that's us three together, yes, we'll put or upload some of that content as well. So again, it kind of incentivizes you guys to obviously make that leap over there. You already made a leap over here to things like Patreon and whatnot. So obviously check that out.
Yeah, I was considering, I almost live streamed over there, dual live streamed over there today just to add some content, but I never ended up doing it. So you never know, man, right?
No doubt.
All right, guys. So that wraps it up. This ends our broadcast day. We will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try to put out another video tonight, but I got to go put my son to bed. So we'll see. But thanks again for coming out, guys. As always, Mirdid can never get enough of Doodle eating a banana there. So thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely fantastic. We love you, Doodle. And all right. God bless, guys.
God bless. Thanks again.